Good morning. How are you? Hey, there's people here, one of you, and there's already 2 thumbs up. That's incredible. How did that happen? Or do you do thumbs up when I when I post about it? I put on my computer. It just almost slid over. That would not be cool. Somebody just asked me, you're like, is that the computer you got? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah. You know, sometimes it's easy. Time passes by and you're like, wow, I've had this technology for some time now. It still feels like spreaking new to me, but it's not at all. And I made myself a smoothie this morning, you guys. I made me a smoothie. I don't make smoothies every day. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a phase. There's definitely probably like between 2015 and up until like earlier this year, or like maybe the end of last year, where I was like a smoothie fiend. I just pretty much had smoothies like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's not true at all. But I definitely woke up like every morning and had a smoothie. And I don't know if it's because I'm not using my Vitamix as much, but the Vitamix doesn't seem to like pulverize things as much as it used to. Plus, it sounds a bit different. So there's this like a little part of me that's like, I think my Vitamix might be going. I think my Vitamix might not. So this is basically banana. Lemon. Whole lemon. You guys know I like to put whole lemon for flavor enhancing. And I don't know. I just feel like it's potent. It's like potent, good vibration. And spirulina. Apple. Oat milk and water. Simples. Did I say spirulina? Yeah, I did. I can like hear the memory of myself saying spirulina in my head. So yeah, drink your smoothies. It does your body some good. Some people I know would not want that. I think it tastes pretty good. Some people might find the spirulina a little bit overpowering, but I think it's tasty. Plus I know like some days I don't eat as much greens as I probably should. So it's really nice to like put like chlorophyll or some kind of crazy superfood green stuff like moringa, matcha, wheatgrass, you know, algae, you know, all of the superfood, the green superfood stuff. That's like what if you're feeling a little bit low vibration, just like swallow down some green grass and you're good to go. You guys, I don't know what I'm talking about. Pipe up here. How are ya? Tell me. How are you doing? Oh, FYI, you guys, I'm super stoked. I have absolutely loved having these like 30-minute calls. It's like adding flavor to my day, which is gorgeous. And it's just really cool to actually like talk, obviously, in person like this. To those of you who res, right? When you res with the vibration, that we amplify a certain frequency, which is really gorgeous. And then there's like, you know, just ways of helping each other out, supporting each other vibrationally, supporting each other financially, supporting each other, whatever way we support, it's just coming from the love vibration, isn't it? So yesterday I did a share about enlightenment, global awakening, economic collapse, and mass migration. I found I do love talking about stuff like that. Like I do really enjoy talking about those kind of big ideas. It's obviously a huge part of what drives me on my life path, or having these sort of global visions, these global ideas about the frequency of the planet, the love on the planet, and how it's so weird and like paradoxical, but like it really is our own love that like that loves the world and transforms the world. So really funny because I had a chat this morning and they mentioned this post. Now you guys know I don't watch mainstream news at all, and actually I really don't engage with much external information. Like I meditate a lot, rest a lot. I create, so I channel and create stuff from within myself. And then I'll be guided to certain entertainment. I might watch Great British Bake Off on some channel or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't, partly because of resonance and because of oftentimes when I'm like feeling into something. Ah, hey, Night That's Gypsy, how are you? Yeah, when I'm feeling into something, it naturally like appears. And then often there's like subtleties of control, domination, manipulation, and also distortion. So sometimes I just pick up, and that's my own personal resonance in my path flow, right? Picking up on distortions that I personally not gelling with. And so I don't go there, even though somebody's like, oh, you need to read this book, or you need to see this thing, or you need to, you're like, yeah, cool. If it gels, you know, if it does resonate. But a lot, and it's weird, you know, as I share the journey with you guys, like it is kind of strange because so many ideas are quite firm. They're quite well, yeah, they're crystallized in the collective. So this is bad according to the dominant collective frequency. This is good according to the dominant collective frequency. And so we are quite heavily ingrained or imprinted with those dominant polarities, which can bring up either the shame and the guilt within us. They force us to kind of bring up those resistances, those mistrusts, those hatreds, those discontents, and then we can keep choosing to work through them and let them go. But the deeper within I go, it's like the more pulled away I am from any kind of mass collective projected reality, agreement, whatever. And I just find myself really enjoying the journey. And I think that's why I continue to stay really within my own presence field, because it's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. And it's so peaceful. And I know in that truth, when we stay in harmony with our own personal heart and our own personal truth, we just stay a better shine for people. We stay a better mirror, better reflection. And I know I can be more present and loving with people, especially like the last couple of weeks. I mean, come on, there's been so much more intense, like turbulent emotional waves and storms coming through. There's a lot greater clarity in the collective as well. I feel randomly right now like there's like a bit of a download coming through. How weird. For the collective energy. Where are we now? It's November 18th. And I was just saying about the waves and how, so I think that's the thing, is that the waves are going to continue. Something that's breaking apart in my awareness is the fact that a lot of us aren't necessarily working on personal programming anymore, just solely. We're much more anchored into the present. And so there's a lot more awareness of the collective energy sways. And there's a lot happening right now in America. Is that right? As soon as I log into chat, woo, woo, hey, Leo Gaddis. And John Beanie, what up? So yeah, somebody mentioned the thread. I just digressed like hardcore. So somebody mentioned about President Trump making a comment about the recent fires in Malibu that was just, well, nothing that comes out about him really surprises me anymore. But people were like, dude, you know. And then, but I take no note of these things. He's just a man. He's done some cool stuff and done some really stuff in my awareness. So, hey, everyone. Good morning. Thanks, John. Yeah, I straightened it this morning because when I woke up, it was like, even I found it just like, no. The people of YouTube deserve better. The people of YouTube deserve better hair than that. Anywho, so there's like Donald Trump. Way. and then I, as I said, I don't, engage with mainstream. I barely engage with social other than broadcasting and checking messages. And I go on, and the first thing I see on my social network is the fact that Marianne Williamson is running for president, which I'm like, wait, there we go. There's some better compassionate leadership for you. And I think it's a really positive sign that the tides are turning and have turned and are turning And that certainly after the increasing shining of light onto certain structures, systems, policies that really aren't in the highest good of all. Once as we continue to shine light on that stuff, darknesses, and here's the macro micro link. All of us who connect with this sense of I'm tired of suffering, I'm tired of being disconnected from my heart, I'm endeavoring this transformation. So we do it and have done it and continue to live in that transformational way. It is us doing all of this inner work that is the same as like the collective shining light on corruption. Because to me, the corruption is just the density, the baggage we've been carrying in ignorance for however long, that it's the ultimate sin, right? It's the fact that our mind's disconnected from the heart. And so we act out in these fearful, frightening, devilish, hellish, like there's an aspect of that hedonistic. What's that horrible thing he was quoted? This president of America quoted something about like grabbing pussies or something like that. And isn't that just this like hedonistic Sodom and Gomorrah? Like it's like that. Hell on earth is dropping bombs, raping women hating women, like the darkness, hell, right? Hey there, Leo Goddess. I think he's just saying my hair's straight. I'm sorry, I'm now just sidetracking over here. In California. You're in California right now. See, yeah, I'm feeling that intuitively, that there's a lot of stuff shifting really fast in America. Hold on tight. American citizens are in preparation. And I could probably hazard a guess that a lot of the collective shifts that are happening in America are eventually going to be happening over here in sticky, icky UK. Although I do love it here. It's not that. I love obviously, I've been guided here. This is just where I'm meant to be, right? And I have made friends and family here, and the life is here. But like the collective dominant frequency is still sticky. And by that, I just mean there's a lot of covert and not so covert, like resistance to change. Because this kind of change, and this is what comes through and why I talk about these big ideas. For me, it was never isolated to Canada, where I grew up, or isolated to the UK or America. Like to me, growing up, turning veggie at a young age, having an awareness of environmental issues as well, right? Thanks, Chica. Always, to me, the global paradigm shift. Although I didn't say it at the time, I just knew there had to be a paradigm shift if we were going to ever endeavor to actually solve some of the solution, or solve some of the issues, the problems, like war cycles, like us just having to bend over and accept the fact that we just rage war after war. Really? Because that fucking sucks, dude. Or like, well, some people just won't ever get to eat. Like, really? That fucking sucks. So it's like those issues to me, poverty, mass migration, an unjust, unfair criminal economy, like those things to me were just always global issues. And I knew they weren't. And like, this is why I tend to not talk politics, because actually in a weird way, to me, political agenda is limited, and also it's veiled, like to me, in a weird way, wonderful way. And you gotta love all humans no matter what, peeps. But like the political system is still Matrix vibes proper. Like we're still totally hooked in to this little story we're telling about this like small humanity, rather than the paradigm shift, which is us connecting to something within ourselves that's way broader and way bigger. And now this is another insight. I should make a note about this. Get my pen and paper, everybody. Pen and paper. Jot down some notes, because this is going to be a part of Spirituality Simplified, the next online course that I'm creating. And it's 8 weeks. So I'm outlining it and basing it on 8 weeks. And probably one of the weeks, I'm almost certain of it, because this isn't the kind of stuff that we talk about necessarily in yoga communities or in meditation circles, or and yet it is still part, any of us that end up in rabbit holes when we endeavor our spiritual awakening and transformation. This is definitely stuff that comes up in spiritual circles, and this is our cosmic origins. This is to do with, as earthly beings, how do we reconnect to our cosmic self, right? How do we, which to me is just the Holy Spirit, the intuition, the infinite self, the infinite intelligence, right? We're the stardust particles of the universe in form. And so we do have in us the keys. We have the juicy nuggets of creation, of life force within us, right? Hence embodiment, doing the energy work, keeping our bodies moving and flowing and all of that kind of stuff, so that we can stay present in the here now, in dominion of the cellular activity of our bodies. And that's, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, that's probably a big piece why I naturally don't engage with a lot, because there's a lot of energetic frequencies that I personally, in my divinity and in my sovereignty and as the signature that I am, there's a lot of energy flow on this planet that I'm not interested in engaging with at all. Fighting, arguing. Now, heartfelt dialogue and debate feels good to me. But there is a difference when we go into like attacking one another and when we go into like defending ourselves. It's the same thing, really. Defense and attack energy is one form of energy. That's why they go together. Oh, they're attacking us. Ah! So like the attack is the attack. We are what we see in the world. That's part of more and more of us awakening to our divine self, to share the light for one another, to be like, guys, remember that we're all one here, we're all in it together. And the thing is, it's not, I do kind of joke about this and I share this sometimes, but like, I really don't think the whole oneness piece is about us becoming a global world and holding hands and singing kumbaya. And you know what I mean? It's not, weirdly, although of course my entire life people have slammed me for being too idealistic and get with the real world. I'm like, I don't want to get with the real world. It's fucked up, you know? That shit crazy. The story of our lives, right? And yet my apparent, and here's the flipperoonie. When you're in the matrix, you start having these awakenings, you're crazy. And you're like, oh my God. And people are like, in the matrix, like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you thinking how I'm thinking? Why aren't you doing what I'm doing? But everybody told us to do this, so why aren't you doing this? And you're increasingly like, and then you like jump ship, free fall. Maybe do this kind of phase quite a lot. Cause myself, because I'm standing in the midst of all the drama. Okay, cool. Thanks for bringing me back to that. And you free fall, but then here's the beauty. I obviously am the creator of my reality. I love it immensely. I enjoy the journey. I rise and fall. I ebb and flow. I feel. I expand. Right? Like literally, that's how I continue to describe it to people. I literally like, now I'm here. And then I'll be somewhere else talking to this. And then I'll be doing this. And then I'll be doing this. So like some of my yoga clients are like, so do you just like do yoga every day? And I'm like, not the way fucking Shivananda and Patabi Joyce taught me to do it. Not at 6 a.m. every morning, because if I don't do it, I'm a failure at life. I honestly don't even know how, but I just find myself in downward dog because I listen to my body and I know when it needs to move. And if I usually won't do it, at home quite a bit. So, but like, I'll just feel my body. It's not necessarily every morning. I do tend to sit most mornings. Like obviously go live and I share from my heart most mornings, most days. And I like to move around, but there's no militaristic regime other than my listening. That has become my most sort of diligent, militaristic, if you're going to use that word, practice, is that I like discern, connect, feel, and have fun and play and be in the flow and trust my flow and trust like my guidance. Because my life, people would see the inside of my life or see what I do day to day or watch my patterns, and they might think I'm really fucked up, or they might think I'm really unhealthy, or they might think I'm whatever it might be. I just don't listen to the dominant collective anymore. I'm like, okay, understanding cosmic origins. Boo-boo! This was a huge, huge next level for me, and probably a big part of my ability to share with the kind of extent of variety with which I share with. And like, yeah, like I said, I want to put a whole section of cosmic origins and like galactic self and a stargate. So often when we do meditations, like love light meditations, you can just imagine that your body sort of like floats up in the air, and you don't have to vision it floating up. You can just like feel it expand and lift. And then you have like the light. So you sense the light all around you. Sometimes you can even imagine like the central sun. So recognize that we are receiving light codes from the sun in this solar system. So we receive those. Now, what we do as a channel is like bring that light frequency fully into your beingness and into your heart. Yeah, I do. And then, so it's pure flow for me, living in the flow. That's why. So you channel the light through. It's often nice to let it reside, or at least like into the heart field. And then imagine the light permeating down to the center of the earth. And then when you feel you're like, it's all feeling, it's all intuition. So you drop in, then you channel the light down to the center of the earth. You let the light rebound back into your beingness until you can feel this beautiful unconditional love. It works every time for me personally. Again, when it comes to any kind of guided meditations, I always recommend people just play around until you find the stuff that works for you. Again, with YouTube and the internet and stuff, there are just infinite resources when it comes to all this awakening. My biggest, I guess, caution, just having and continue to go through it, is this whole piece about being extraordinarily discerning with the information that you're engaging with. You might be doing a meditation and it takes you into this dark space, and you're like, your intuition is like, get out of here, don't go here, and then you're like, but it's meditation, but it's not necessarily serving because it's not feeling good. And I know the whole feel-good vibes can sometimes be a cop-out when we're quite heavily invested in the matrix, or we're quite heavily invested in our own suffering patterns or the suffering patterns of people in our lives, just by paying it attention, just by feeding it like it's a real thing, right? And then we do that, and the less we do that, the more we can really like really just be our sovereignty. Be our sovereign self, right? And so the light is part of us opening different energetic portals to the higher self. But again, like our higher self is almost like a way for our common humanity to understand us, elevating our consciousness, because none of these things that we talk about, ego, higher self, the Holy Spirit, I don't know what else. Twins, we could even talk about it in that same regard. None of it is separate. This is like the weirdest sort of paradox of everything that we're kind of undergoing, that we're shapeshifting within our own sense of self, is that nothing is separate from our beingness. So this idea of integration and wholeness is a very tangible, visceral feeling of coming back into the integrity of who you are, because you know it. You know the essence. It's like when I was endeavoring my body transformation, I always knew this is how I looked like. And hence the disparity, this constant, the sort of cycle that I was in. Hey, Nestor, which most dieters, or those of us who have these physical imprints in our body that we're here to shift or transform, we just know it's not about comparing and contrasting, right? It's not about saying, well, oh, but you look great, who cares? It's like when you just know in your body, this isn't me though. Like I'm wearing a fucking bodysuit that belongs to other people, or some really suffering pattern part of me that's held on to this size, this shape, this whatever is the fear that we're carrying in the cells of our bodies. And for me, transforming my own personal patterned suffering, trauma, negative self-talk, shame, guilt, and then once the body really started to transform, then it really was looking at sexual energy, sexual shame, guilt, and all of that kind of stuff. So that now, finally, at the age of 36 human years, I can finally enjoy my body in like sovereignty. And that is monumental. And this is a conversation that I do want to continue to have. Pardon me, you guys. I'm just, for some reason, getting distracted and want to get something. You know, when you like hang clothing over a heater and then you're suddenly aware of it and you're like, I don't know if that stuff should be there. Hey, Travis, how are you? Okay. That's better. That's better. Oh, that sounds really good. Oh, the source and guys, the unity consciousness drive. Well, that's like the meditation, isn't it? Divine connecting our consciousness to the sun, inputting those light codes, channeling those light codes down into the earth. So that's often, I think, when we come into our signature, our kind of homeness place, our centeredness place, is doing this kind of meditation, connecting to the light, connecting to the earth, and then unifying the field. In my practice and experience, it's just our ability to stay there rather than how easily we get distracted by people, how easily we get distracted by, and you know, the guys, all the stuff I share is like me sharing for myself as well. That's, I guess, part of like, I set up donation classes before I had any training in yoga, and I was practicing like a champ, and I was really there in earnest, right? But for me, I was like, I need to be doing this practice, so I need to like set it up and just do it. And people came, and obviously those early foundational years really set me up to become the teacher that I was meant to be, right? But the truth of the teaching is a self-taught thing. You know, like, and if anything, like times in my life where I've done training, sometimes if I gave too much power away, I would like lose my essence and like try to teach how Mohan taught, or try to teach how, right, Saraswati taught, rather than becoming my own channel and teaching via that channel. And it just requires, I would say, maybe some repeating of patterns, and going through these cycles within our lives and with other, so that we can come into that sovereignty state that we're all, I think, destined to be, but we're all going to have ebbs and flows of getting there. And that's something I'm much better able to stand in, is my integrity and detachment with other, because it's really in my own disempowerment that I would project like lack or anything less than onto other. So the more I'm like truly in my power, I really see people in their power, and I see people in their choosing. Now that is another big piece, because especially as empaths, we might feel like fear in someone, or feel like the core root of shame, but the beautiful thing is that I'm a lot better now at just like seeing it, allowing it to be there, just like I did in my own bloody practice. This is now making sense to me. I'm like, yeah, I had to do that to myself, but now that I'm doing it myself, I'm actually noticing it, that I'm better with other people, that I can like just let someone sit there and maybe bumble through and have anxiety or but like truly just let them be, and not have to like, and that actually, that's been a big part of my journey, is like deciphering the difference with our friends and our family members and the people we love, and those people as teachers, and then the people we work with. There's a very different exchange when I'm just friends with somebody that doesn't necessarily want to go deep into the depths of their core wounding. But when somebody's paying you, then that's your function. That's an exchange that somebody's stepping to say, I want you to go into the depths. I want you to root out this and to root out that. And then that feels good. That feels fair. But in the past, when I've tried to kind of force it onto like partners or people that I was invested in whatever way, it didn't work. And in the end, you find out that maybe there isn't true compatibility for all of us all the time. And sometimes we have deeper lessons than we can see with the physical mind. We have deeper lessons to teach one another than is conventionally taught in our culture as well. Because in a weird way, sometimes I see people are so concerned about protecting their ego and like upholding, and again, it's all one, there's no bad vibes or just or like judgment here, but people are so invested in keeping their world kind of like in place that they kind of do that. They kind of, hey Michelle, how are you? That they do, and their lives become like, they're like, no, I can't let go of that. No, I can't let go of this. No, I can't do it like that. They're so highly strung because there's this sort of, and I can feel it sometimes, this energy that just doesn't, it's just always there. Like, and whether they're sad, whether they're happy, whether they're angry, there's this underlying drive that I'm certain is a result or effect of the core wound of separation that's not been healed within that being. And so they're still sort of desperately seeking their worth and their value and their validation outside of themselves, in the job they have, in the money they make, in the partner they have, in whatever, in the size of their bodies, and whatever it might be, right? We kind of hold on, we fixate. And that's I guess been part of my polarity as a journey, is like I was never able to quite do that. Like I never worked in corporate gig, and I probably maybe had like along my life, maybe in my early 20s, maybe had like a trial in a call center, or maybe I trial doing door-to-door charity fundraising, like, and yeah, I couldn't, like my body just couldn't do it. And now I really fully understand, again, when I look over in retrospect, that's what people talk about when like spirit's guiding them, because I'd had those awakenings, and basically out of sometimes drug-induced confusion, like literally would just be on my knees in tears, like, take it. Like I don't know how to live properly in this world. I don't and like that's probably something all y'all on the same kind of path of the real is like for talking, right? I know this is literally why I come to YouTube sometimes, because I found some really powerful kind of heart-based connections via the internet to support the Mish, right? Because sometimes when we're going through all this stuff, we're just like, why? Like, and that's been part of the journey of a wanderer or a starseed or an indigo or whatever. I'm really not a fan of labels. We're humans. We're all divine, etheric, cosmic beings born into this world who are choosing to create. We are in a collective agreement here, right? So, oh hey, energy way and Kali coming towards your neck of the woods. Puff, pass, pass. And that, yeah, exactly. Maybe we would be doing that around a campfire, wouldn't we, Rochelle? And then having a bit of a sleep. I was just thinking about like the early awakenings, wasn't I? And like the spinning out, but then not being able to, once you have those awakenings, you really can't go back, even though you have many breakdowns, being like, like wishing, so many of my friends are really successful in the matrix as far as like lawyers and doctors and like running businesses and like super happy, like moms and dads and marriages and like doing all that, and time's ticking by, and like slowly but surely that dream is like fading away. I'm like, my last partnership falls apart, all of this kind of stuff, right? And like, there's this sort of cyclical phasing of us wanting to go back to ignorance, wanting to go back to like having our eyes shut. And so many times of me like breaking free, feeling super duper isolated and alone and insane. And part of this reaching out into the YouTube was just finding other speakers and people that were talking about it, being like, us, I know I have to talk about it too. And then working through those veils or just energetic blocks within self to step into the light that we know we are, to step into the truth that we know we are. And that's something that really can't come from books we read or even practices that we think we're practicing, i.e. yoga. Like I was talking about how yoga has become it probably always was just like part of my imprint, part of my beingness, like lifetimes of that kind of work. And that's something, again, that our cosmic origins can help us to make sense of a higher, more expanded aspect of embodiment, but that is super duper in the body. Because that's another disparity sometimes I pick up on, is that we do often like to talk about all of this stuff, but it's really, it is, and I put my hands up in honesty, right, of like, it's a challenge, because we don't necessarily realize that we're in a pattern until we're in it. We don't necessarily realize that we're defending something until we realize it, right? And so there's no judgment around any of this, and yet it really is us it's us in our emotional field, and it's choosing to direct thought and consciousness. It's choosing to wait, oh wait, I can distinguish, I can discern, I can pull apart from this, work with that energy and transform it into something different. The world that I'm living in isn't perpetuating war cycles. Like, the world that I'm living in, we're all taking care of each other and cleaning up the ocean and feeding hungry mouths and electing people like Marianne Williamson to president of the United States, because this is a free world where we have compassionate leadership. It's the only way to bridge the evolutionary gap, right? It's the only way for us to really come to understand that we don't have to segregate and divide in order to survive here. And I think that was a story that was perpetuated via the Great Divide, which I suppose on some level we all agreed to. Everything that's happened on this planet is divine, by the way. Even all of the disparity of darkness and the separation, and even the idea, and this is where, again, I do like to talk about some of the more out there weird stuff, because I hear other people talking about it. And I sometimes just am like, that's not, and I'll often, like, you guys get what I share about, because I ingest such little external information in that regard, that, like, when I do, I usually share something based on listening to something. And that was, I don't remember, I feel like it might have been someone named Joe Rogan. Does that ring a bell to any of you guys? Like, another YouTube person? Anyway, I somehow got down one of those rabbit holes with Elon Musk and AI and cyber technology and all of that kind of stuff. And so this is more about, like, my feminism and my, like, women's studies background. But I was engaged and I was enjoying listening to the conversation. I felt that I don't know if it's like a facade for some reason, but I felt like Elon Musk was, like, depressed. Has anyone else been getting that from any interviews you've seen of him lately? Like, I feel like he's gone down a pretty dark tunnel in his mind, and he's quite depressed. And or there's some other agenda going on. I can't tell. It's probably more likely the latter. There's probably something going on that we just can't see yet. I know, Leo Goddess. No, we sure did. Well, and pushed in line to volunteer is also subjective, right? Because some of us were a little bit more excited. And also, and here's the truth, you've just made me recall it, is like, it really works. It does work, Travis. So what you just said about when we got pushed in line to volunteer, and like, I have memory of it. And like, it wasn't even like we got pushed in line to volunteer. Like, for me, like, the heart call, the earth, like, we heard the earth heart call, and there wasn't a question. It wasn't even like, I don't want to go down to that low vibration place. It was like, of course we will go and endeavor that level of density. Of course we will go and learn whatever it is we need to learn from this frequency, and to expand our consciousness and to be more divine souls, right? And now it's like, finally, the earth has risen and we're coming home to a frequency that feels a lot more comfortable for a lot of us, and we're not going to get persecuted and killed like many of us have done for many cycles of incarnation on this planet. So it's like super exciting to get to this new frequency and be like, ah, we've arrived, you guys. We're allowed to be ourselves and we're allowed to be free. I never watch the news ever. 6:40 now. I'm reading some of your guys's stuff. So yeah, for me it was very much a divine call. Like I knew my early awakenings shone that as well, that there's a balancing between light and dark forces, right? And the balancing, it's like knowing that the paradigm shift was part of a rebalancing for the Earth's timeline. Oh. Ooh. John Beanie. That to me is often a sign of like good things are on their way. So, yeah, a lot of serendipitous, and sometimes I find a lot when those sort of things keep hitting us. One, you can just keep sitting with it, yeah, sit with the emotions that are rising up, and drop into that silent voidal place, because all that shit happening eventually will wash over. Plus, you're obviously going to have awesome. You know, you'll have to clean up the flooding, and there will be stuff. Yeah, meditation and lots of self-love. Lots of self-love. You so deserve it, right? And like that's kind of the energy that I felt within the last couple of weeks. I'm not in that right now, but like probably like a couple of weeks ago, another wave come up and it was just like relentless. And this is sometimes where I get, now this isn't related to your series of events, but this kind of stuff can often just keep like, see, your studio is fine. That's the most important thing, right? And like these sort of things, for whatever reason, they blindside us and they just knock us. But then energetically, there's a reason. Like this year, I know for a fact, some of you guys know, like I had it's just a lot of pretty significant situations whereby it was totally out of my control, but people were taken away from me. Like really significant pillars in my life that I just thought were always going to be there. They were just gone, and like crazy, like some betrayal stuff and some deception, but then also like some systematic oppression, just like ruining my fucking life. But then now over a year later, and I'm like, oh, all of that had to happen. And like weirdly, I knew it in the moment. Like when I was going through my heart activation earlier this year, like back in February, March, April, like this is when it was like hardcore moving through me. It was truly, truly like recalibration on next level. And like I knew in the depths, like when I wasn't able to sleep and I was just like, like in so much fucking emotional pain, I knew that I was diving deeper than I'd ever been before. And that fortunately I was at a point where I'd be able to communicate some of these experiences in a way that people can understand, so that we don't carry those codes with us anymore. So we have to kind of go through some of those deep, deep pains in order to rise once again. And then in the rising, and this is where basically the timeline where we are now, a lot of us are like literally rising out of the ashes. We have no historical energetic imprinting in our beingness. It's all new codes. So now, if anything, we're just having to manage our energy so that we can continue to embody higher code frequencies. And then that's why we have to lie down and sleep and rest and be more fluid with our lives, because the energetic structure of our bodies is totally restructuring itself. And this is a good thing. It's just when we get like, when you get hit by lethargy, it's just literally because your body is like needing to sleep, because sleep is the most effective way to integrate the new energy. And then basically all of the other work of like letting go and oh, awesome, Travis. Oh, I'm gonna look it up. And this is why I love this community. It's in fairness, like this community, since Aluna shared as well, it's expanded a bit for me, but it's really nice because when I say to you guys, like, I'm not engaging with much external info, this is kind of like my safe spot. So like I do watch some of Aluna's stuff, and I have another friend here named Dyslexic Theory of the Physics of Time, and he shares a lot of the kind of the scientific information aligned with all of it. Last night. That's funny. Caverns and diving. Huh. Interesting. Wonder if that was sort of like premonition to the floods, yeah? Oh, sorry, say cool. So like this, now that I'm engaged here, I'm like, okay, Schumann resonance. This has come up a couple times, so I feel like I want to look it up. I want to do some research, and then the photonic waves. So sometimes that kind of language comes out of me if I'm channeling, but not a huge amount. I am getting more downloads now with this kind of stuff. Yet I'm still so right? I had that dream a year ago, then again last night. That's significant, I think, John. Diving. I don't know. Either something about diving or excavating, or it could be something about your emotional awareness as well. It could be something to do with the water within you. And then that's just making me think, you guys, like, so this is all aspects of our higher consciousness. Is like, so I gave you that meditation earlier, right? Where you channel, where you connect to your highest light form, and then you connect it down to the earth. You let the earth mother love, basically the heart of earth, rebound back to your heart and connect those, so that and this is where in your meditations you might start to see more of your kind of multidimensional aspects. That means you have a sense of your actual energetic force fields around you, and this is also where we can start to see or sense the macabre. So like this is our kind of divine sacred geometric form in prism form, right? In crystalline structure, which is again why us like understanding our body in an energetic stream and in fluidity and in cycles, rather than the meat body suits, it's next level, right? And it also then it becomes next level when it comes to engaging with substances and with because you're often kind of exempt from conventional collective agreements. So your body might be able to do certain things that other people's bodies can't do, or you can actually just heal constantly every day and not ever become unwell, because we're always tuning into higher frequencies, which is aligned with the signature. And then that keeps us in a stream for as long as we're meant to be in that stream for that specific timeline. And then a lot of us can probably feel into the next level timelines that we're headed for. It's all one though still. I know it's so weird, but why do I have to say that? It's still all one. And if anything, it's the oneness piece, you guys, that I feel can really help to remind us to not go into the fear. That's part of the world, the matrix, as it were. The cleverness of the matrix is to actually wound people, sever people's connection to the point like of forgetfulness, right? Because then you can literally, that's what the news and everything is for. You just keep triggering people into their reptilian nature, keep triggering people into their fight flight, keep triggering people into fear. As long as we're in fear, we're in pain body. As long as we're in pain body, we're in reactivity, which means we're not in our center, which means we're not in our power at all. And I'm noticing that it's just layers after layers after layers of us being able to see through veils of separation from within our own conflicted self. Hence, betrayal, deceit, denial, any aspect of corruption that we perceive on the external reality, we have to unify and heal from within our own bodies, from within our own self. And then once we do that, literally your world will continue to shapeshift in a faster and faster and faster way. And you'll continue to embody the truth of your knowing and not have to dictate or control anything around you. And like, that's the biggest liberation piece. And that's where I have to keep coming back to. And the only triggers I get from time to time are when people are like, you should read this book. You should do that. And I'm like, and what else should I do for you then? I get a kind of little feminist edge about me. Maybe that's more of a female imprint, but it might be for any of us. I think when we've healed or are coming into a healed state after being enslaved for multiple lifetimes, there's like this little kind of inner rebel, child rebel being like, no, I've been doing what you've been telling me to do for far too long. And now I don't want to do it anymore. And that's like a new level for me. Some of you as star seeds and stuff like that, you may have had maybe some similar aspects in your upbringing where like life has been really deep and painful and suffering, right? And it wasn't fun like I think other kids had fun necessarily. There was enchantment. There was definite wonder and enchantment, but the life trauma started happening pretty early on for me. And then the deep suffering aspects and the self-hatred and self-loathing were a huge, huge function part of my life. Then having these inner awakenings, seeing through all these veils, being a complete fucking alien in the world, but trying to fit in. And yeah, and it was really the yoga that kind of was a lifeline for me. And then heading into the yoga, and then it was like the peeling back and the healing layers of years and years of yoga. So you know, all these years later, yoga absolutely works as a healing practice. And yet I do see and sense sometimes that we can get trapped in still seeking. We can still seek our validation from gurus outside of us. And who was it? We are one of you who, again, we found each other. I don't know if you're going to end up watching this video, but I found a video from another, I think like a Luna Ash family member. And she did a share about how attaching to like spiritual teachers or people like me, like attaching our sense of self to even, so like for me, it would have been like me attaching like Tara Stiles is the queen of yoga and Gabby Bernstein is the da-da-da-da. And then I started to just follow my own bliss. And then I realized I don't want to follow these women. I don't want to follow Eckhart Tolle. I don't want to follow, you know, the Shivananda way. I want to be my own way, you know? And then there was a time where my ego or a part of me was like, who the fuck do you think you are, girl? Like the imagination of being Wonder Woman. Yeah. Yeah. Like that's the divine love. I was going to say divine feminine, but I'm like, no, Wonder Woman is a perfect, divine, balanced being. She's got the masculine energy of like, go do. And then she's got this femininity of like the loving humanity and standing up for the innocent and you know, just being there for one another. And that's the feminine within us, is we have to learn how to be there for ourselves so that in order to show up for one another, in order to show up for people, right? And so this is kind of part of the reawakening, is like we're just learning how to love ourselves, right? We're just learning how to actually be kind and loving beacons for the self, and then figuring out how to show up for people. And that's something, again, for me to express and share just like this. It's like, try it all. And I say this to like my exec clients, guys, that spirituality is really like, in this day and age, in the world as it is, to me, spirituality is no different than your fashion. Shop around. Don't just, and yeah, her We Are channel, check it out. Don't, you know, we can attach. It's when we see people on, or like, you know, I've written a book and I could be like, oh yeah, I have the answers for you guys. And I know that working with people is effective for us, but that's not my function, right? For me, my function isn't to indoctrinate you and program you further. My function is just to remind you that you have the answers within you. You know, like I would say the true blues, we don't want the followers in such a way to fulfill some ego projection so that I can power over you and be important in the world. Like, that's the weirdest thing about all this kind of paradoxical energy. That might have been part of how I was programmed in the world, like past cycles. But to be fair, like at this point, I'm like, guys, this is all about the simple life. You know, like most of us are just here. We're not here to have massive corporations and to have any kind of sense of domination. The world, this life, is just out of earnest simplicity, like having a love hug partner and maybe a creature or two that were rescued that we could love and take after. And then like some travel. You know, most of us realize we don't actually want what we're sold. And I think that's a huge piece of liberation, right? Right, exactly. A big piece of liberation is like, so most of us were like, you're gonna want to buy a house, you're gonna want to get married and have children. You're like, what? That never really became a big deal for me. And then neither did the whole like a lot of people I saw, like, have houses and have property and have this and that, and for me personally, energetically, I would just feel like the weight of it. I'm just like, "God damn, you got a lot of shit, and it doesn't seem to make you happy." Or, like, people with multiple businesses and damned if they're happy. They might have money, but yeah, like, I don't feel the juice. I don't feel the life from people. And awesome, right? It super is awesome. So I started to unravel this idea of like, okay, so that's another big piece. When we find our authenticity, we're not competing with each other because actually in our authenticity, we don't want the same shit as each other. How fucking cool is that? Like, we don't all want 5 bajillion Ferraris. We don't all want to live in mansions. Like, give me a fucking shack by a river and I'm good to go. That's not true. That's not true. I I love space and I love making a space beautiful. I'm not into hoarding. I'm not into having lots of stuff because I literally find it burdensome. This is like if I could like swing you over here, that's my little closet. And like that in there, I've got 2 shelves, one with like my wintry bits, one with more summery bits. I have 2 pair of jeans, a pair of black pants. Yeah, I probably have a handful of shoes. And even that, there was a time when I had a lot less. When I was traveling a lot more, backpack of clothes usually is all you need. And when you're a wanderer and you move a lot, you just can't carry that much shit with you. Also, from a very young age, I for some reason had this awareness of because my grandfather was a hoarder and because like I often saw conflict among family members because of material stuff. So in my little juicy peace heart, I like never wanted I never thought it was worth it to like get upset about losing money or get upset about, oh no. I remember once I was moving when I was living in Liverpool and we had to so we were taking stuff down into the hallway. We had to leave the bed. So we left the frame of the bed and everything in the hallway and like took a load to wherever we were moving to, came back and the bed was gone. And the person I was with at the time, the classic like, we should go around and and I was just like, it's not meant for us anymore. Like I just couldn't naturally attach myself to material things because in my awareness, I'm like, but it's not real. Why would I sit here and get all worried, upset, and flustered over something that's not going to stick with me anyway, right? And that's another really liberating thing when we can be like really detached about that and like realize we don't want a lot, and then we realize like just having one 10-year-old car with insurance is just right. Do you do song request? No, I've never done that before, playlister. And what do you mean? Like me singing? I don't I'm not much of a singer. And it's trickier song request. Anyway, you can email me. You can let me know, you guys. So you guys, randomly it's coming up to an hour. This is when you know this is some shit you're meant to do because life just like flows and it's so easy to just chat and love heart vibration. You should. People love it. No, you just play a song. Okay, I don't even know how to do that, but okay. So you guys, I'm gonna start wrapping it up. I can feel the coffee. Do you ever have that? Like, I don't know if you guys are coffee drinkers. Like, you're pretty stable, but then like sometimes you just have a cup of coffee that is like jacked or something, and or maybe it's my own frequency. I'm not sure that I ride out. All right. Yeah, but I think that would have copyright issues. Because if I were to play a song live and then, pardon me, and then relist it, they would hear it and then have copyright infringement, I'm pretty sure. Playlister. So you guys, you know the juice of life. This is my last week, FYI. Thank you, John. Quite a few of you have booked time. I think I have 3 calls tomorrow afternoon. No, not tomorrow, is Monday. Tuesday, I've got 3 calls. And then I'm going to do the same thing today. So www.meetme.com all to love. Let's play a John Beanie song. Yeah, I don't have anything like on my, I would need to like have it on my phone. I could have it on my phone actually and like play it from your channel as well. So you guys, this is the link I've just shared in the chat section. This is the link where you can book a 30-minute call with me. It's been so fun meeting some of you in FaceTime. Now, when you do book it, I'll usually send you an email asking like how is the best way to contact you. Most of us have had messenger chat, so live messenger, face-to-face time, and a couple of you have requested coaching sessions. So I usually recommend people join the Fearless Life Tribe, because the Fearless Life Tribe is £22 a month, and then you're in the tribe, and because you're paying that subscription, you get discounts with me. And then in fairness, I'm pretty like heart-based and chill. So the tribe, that kind of commitment and support just means that when you do want to hop on a call, we could hop on a 10-minute call and it would just cost you £10. But but like other worldly clients, they pay me £100 an hour. So wherever I am in the world, whenever they need to have a chat, we have a chat, we're FaceTiming, or this is the thing, because I'm pure intuitive, it's not just like coaching and talking. I usually do breath work with you, meditation, guided meditation, visualization. I usually read your energy, so I'll pick up any distortion in your energy field, and then we'll do movement. So I give you a lot of breath work and a lot of yoga movement, and then if I'm called to, I often share videos with personal private coaching clients as well. And then we work with each other from all over the world, and pretty consistently, because it's important for us to accelerate the movement, that we're shifting stuff pretty quickly, and we tend to do that better when we're working with people. And then I also, some of you guys, when we don't quite res, I usually share with you a few of the different healers that I've worked with over the years as well, and it might be really good because of the high energies coming in back to hits, hitting it in back to back. It's hurting my nervous system. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's good to know, because I'm feeling the energies really shift, and I'm like, whew. It's almost having sometimes an adverse effect as well. So thank you for that, you guys. I think I might take an opportunity in Bali to cleanse off coffee. Well, that was also part of my mish, is once I publish Spirituality Simplified. So January 2019, I'm publishing Spirituality Simplified. And then I'm probably going to have me a little retreat. I want to go away for myself, because I'm always holding space and doing classes and holding retreat for people to heal and feel good. And I feel like that now it's my turn. I'm going to go somewhere and just, I had a thought, even though I don't want to do this, but like have people put stuff in my holes and clean me out. Except I don't actually want to do that. I just want to go away in nature and, do lots of yoga with some good teachers and eat some really good vegan food and just not be tempted by coffee for a few days, because yeah, it's not actually that tempting right now, and it's there, and I'm feeling like different effects of it, being like, ooh, I'm not even sure if I'm enjoying this effect right now. So yeah, that actually does res with me. Okay, you guys, there we go. Happy Sunday. Boo! I hope that like you feel lifted, and don't forget to book a call with me if you want to have a free call, and or just head over to altalove.com and feel free to join the tribe. I really appreciate your guys's subscriptions and stuff. It's helpful for Alta Love as a small company, and also I feel like when we're kind of exchanging energy in a consistent way, it's actually helping with the movement, the love movement, as it were, as well. Do you guys like my PJs? I love how like you might tune into me when I'm like this. You're like, yes, I'm very official. This is like also like some exec clients as well. I would try to keep it like this, right? And then, but you guys are special because you guys get to see that actually I'm just like a random chica in her bedroom, and that we all start the revolution from our own bedroom. let's be honest, we're all starting it from this place of peaceful restedness, and other days I might kind of one thing I'm kidding in my mind of doing sometimes, you guys, is like a Sunday session, maybe a little yoga, maybe meditation. It doesn't just have to be me blabbing on and you guys sharing your insights as I talk at your screens. But if I were to set it up maybe in my loft, we could just wake up and, oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, baby. Have a little stretch. Have a little move around. Oh yeah. Well, because see, that's what I would do now. So once I feel the flow and I wants to move, I would move. And so maybe let me know if that's something you want to do. You guys, thanks, John. I do deserve a vacation. Well, I'm going to Bali. I'm leaving for Indonesia. 1, 2, in 3 weeks. So we're good. We're good. 3 weeks, and I'll do some live updates from Bali, obviously. And I'm gonna be, oh my gosh, also, if you go to my Facebook page, you guys, or go to my website, you can donate to Lombok. We had a huge day yesterday. We've got over 500 pounds of additional donations, which means I've hit my target as far as I can dedicate about 700 pounds to Safawi and his family. And then there was another guy on Gili Air that I met who also reached out and was like, please, like, you know, the government and people aren't helping us out as much. So yes, ready. Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. So yeah. If you want to donate to Lombok, that would be great. I'm going to be there by Christmas, giving them the money. And then 2 weeks prior, I'm filming Spirituality Simplified. Head to Alta Love, you guys. Subscribe, all of that kind of stuff. I'm just straight up human ego wanting more love from the internet world. But it's here. It's here always. And let's just be honest. It's all about enjoying the ride. And enjoying the ride is accepting that as beings, there's more and more and more and more. And we keep deserving it. We do deserve it all. We deserve what we desire. And keep desiring more juicy goodness, more juicy, awesome sauce. Happy Sunday, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I so appreciate all this good vibes. And I hope that you do too. Don't forget, just love yourself. Love heart. Vibration. Look at that pretty little heart. Oh, look, that's like the Alta Love symbol, but upside down. This is doesn't work. Anyway, love heart vibration all over your face. I love you guys. Enjoy. Peace out.